She was 72 years old, alone, and lost in one of the harshest deserts in America. No food, no map, no one looking for her. For 9 days, she left behind a trail of strange signs in the sand, messages no one understood. But 9 days later, search teams would discover something in the Arizona wilderness they couldn't explain. And it would change everything they thought they knew about what happened to Anne Rogers. Before we dive into this incredible story of survival against all odds, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear will completely shift how you think about human endurance and the will to live. Alright, so let's set the scene here. It's March 2016, and we're talking about some of the most unforgiving terrain in North America, the Arizona wilderness, where temperatures can swing from over 100 degrees during the day to near freezing at night. This isn't your typical hiking trail, you know. This is raw desert, full of steep canyons, jagged rocks, and basically nothing for miles in every direction. Now here's where our story begins. Search and rescue teams get a call about a missing hiker. Pretty routine stuff at first, or so they thought. They fire up the helicopters, start doing aerial sweeps over this massive stretch of desert near Congress, Arizona. And I'm talking massive here, like thousands of square miles of absolutely nothing but rock and sand. But here's the first weird thing. They find her car pretty quickly. A white sedan, just sitting there on a back road, completely intact. Engine works, keys inside, no signs of a struggle. You'd think, okay, maybe she just went for a short hike and got turned around. Right, happens all the time. Except there's no sign of her anywhere. No footprints leading away from the car. No camping gear missing. Nothing. It's like she just vanished. And that's when the search teams start realizing this is going to be a simple recovery mission. The first clue's okay. So now the searchers start learning more about who they're looking for. And this is where the story gets really interesting. We're not talking about some experienced outdoorsman or a young thrill seeker. This is Anne Rogers, a 72-year-old woman who is driving from Arizona to visit family. 72 years old. You guys, most people that age are worried about walking to their mailbox. And she's apparently wandering around in the middle of the desert. The search teams are scratching their heads because, honestly, the statistics aren't good here. In that kind of terrain, at that age, without proper supplies, most people wouldn't last 2 days, let alone longer. But then they start finding things. Small piles of rocks arranged in patterns. At first, the searchers think maybe it's just natural formations, but then they see more of them. These little rock cairns, scattered across different areas, all arranged pretty deliberately. Someone was clearly trying to send a message. Now here's the thing that really got everyone's attention. They also start finding dog tracks alongside human footprints. Turns out Anne wasn't completely alone out there. She had her little dog with her. And somehow, this tiny animal was still with her, after several days in conditions that would kill most pets in hours. Into the unknown. So let's talk about what Anne was actually dealing with out there. Because this is where the story gets absolutely wild. We're talking about daytime temperatures, pushing over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The kind of heat where you can literally cook an egg on a rock. And then at night, temperatures dropping down close to freezing. Your body is basically getting hammered from both extremes, hour after hour. She had no food with her. No water bottles, no camping gear, no GPS. According to the searchers, she was wearing regular clothes, not hiking gear. Just a regular 72-year-old woman, who somehow ended up miles from her car, in terrain that would challenge a Navy SEAL. But here's what blew my mind when I was researching this story. The search teams kept finding more of those rock formations, spread out over a much wider area than anyone expected. This wasn't someone who got lost and stayed put waiting for help. Anne was moving, covering serious ground every single day. At 72 years old, she was basically hiking a marathon through the desert, and she kept doing it day after day. The dog tracks were still there too, right next to her footprints. This little animal somehow had enough loyalty to stay with her through the worst conditions imaginable, when its natural instinct would be to find water and shade. The breakthrough by day 7, the official search was starting to wind down. Now, I hate to say this, but the reality is that most search and rescue operations have to make tough calls. After a certain point, you're not looking for survivors anymore, you're looking for remains. And at 72 years old, in that environment, with no supplies, the math just doesn't add up for survival. But some of the search teams weren't ready to give up. They kept flying patterns over areas where they'd found those rock formations, thinking maybe, just maybe, She was still moving and still trying to signal for help. Then, on day 9, a helicopter pilot spots something that doesn't belong. A flash of color against all that brown and gray rock. They circle around, get closer, and what they see changes everything. There, in a small clearing, is a makeshift shelter. And sitting next to it, waving weakly at the helicopter, is Anne Rogers. Not only is she alive, she's conscious and alert. After 9 days in the Arizona wilderness, at 72 years old, she somehow managed to survive when every single odd was stacked against her. The impossible survival. So here's what happened during those 9 days. And honestly, this part of the story still gives me chills. Anne survived by doing things that survival experts say shouldn't work, especially not for someone her age. She found small pools of muddy water in rock formations and drank from them. Now, this stuff would probably make most people violently sick, but somehow her body processed it. She ate plants and roots, basically foraging like our ancestors did thousands of years ago. And every single day, she built those rock cairns, hoping someone flying overhead would spot them. At night, she slept on bare ground with just her clothes for warmth. During the day, she kept moving, always looking for better water sources or more shelter. Her little dog never left her side, even when it must have been suffering just as much as she was. When the paramedics finally reached her, she was severely dehydrated and had lost a significant amount of weight. But she was talking, she was coherent, and she was asking about her dog first, not herself. The human spirit. You know what gets me about this story? It's not just that a 72-year-old woman survived 9 days in the desert. It's how she survived. Anne didn't just sit down and wait to die. She didn't give up when the situation looked hopeless. She adapted, she problem-solved, and she kept fighting every single day. The search and rescue teams said they'd never seen anything like it. One of the coordinators told reporters that Anne basically rewrote their understanding of what's possible for someone her age in those conditions. She didn't just survive the Arizona wilderness. She thrived in it long enough for help to find her, and that little dog, still right there with her when they found her. Proving that sometimes the most powerful survival tool isn't equipment or training, it's having something worth living for. Anne Rogers was eventually reunited with her family, made a full recovery, and as far as I know, she's still telling this incredible story to anyone who will listen. Those 9 days changed not just her life, but how we think about human resilience and the will to survive. The next time you think you can't handle whatever life throws at you, remember Anne Rogers. Remember that at 72 years old, she faced down the Arizona wilderness with nothing but her determination and a loyal dog, and she won. If this story amazed you as much as it did me, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what you think gave Anne the strength to keep going. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories of human survival and resilience. Because sometimes, the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.